All right. You want to fill in, Susie? All right, that's right. Roll call. Sobek.
Here.
Claire. Here. Malone.
Here.
Kinnan here. What's on? Okay, I need an approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Anthony. Second by Ryan. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Public comment? Anything, Susie? None there. Approval of minutes from the March 2nd meeting. Pass them off over there. I looked at one, what the motion. Got a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the March 2nd meeting.
Okay. Rules are all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, they're approved. Written correspondence, the only thing we got was Susie brought in tonight this packet. I've never seen this before. This is before my time. Yeah. I wonder if it's got a date on it. Well, that's pretty close, huh?
What's the date? Is there a date on it?
No, just a bunch of pictures.
Yeah. It's like before and afters of the little four corners and beautification and everything.
I think what we do is if anybody wants to look at it, great. If not, I think we give it to Cindy Smith and never keep it here. It's just so it's on record anyway. So it's
a plan years ago.
Michigan State University, they reached out to the university and had one of the classes that does urban development, and they gave them a project to probably. And when I started on the board, I thought that's the kind of thing we were going to be doing, not redoing the whole ordinance book. So someone gave that to me, and I thought there's a lot of work in it. I just didn't know what to do with it. I was going to do paperwork, and I thought I should give it
I think
back.
Jim Claridge was
Yes.
the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, it belongs with the archives of the clerk, I think.
Yeah.
That's a good spot for
Yeah,
it.
it was probably done as somebody's senior project.
Yes.
I would imagine. There's probably somebody that was from around here that said, "Let's do this."
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the only written correspondence that we have, and it's not even. But I appreciate you bringing that in, though. Reports, board of trustees.
We meet next Tuesday.
Is there any correspondence from anybody? Or remember a couple of months ago we talked about asking them for feedback? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it. Okay.
I've also asked a couple times if anybody had any suggestions about Airbnbs.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. ZBA, nothing. Zoning administrator is absent. I mentioned we'll start being around pretty soon. Tri Township, there's a meeting next Thursday, April 16th at Alcona Township, 7 o'clock. All are welcome to attend. That's it for reports, unless anybody else has got it. New business, nothing. Can we jump to our ordinance first before we do short-term rentals? Because I have that out on top. Last time we were here, actually I think we went through kind of through 2 iterations. And I printed these out again just so we could go through them however we want to do it. But our first iteration was in red, and then the second iteration was in green. I was too. But the page 1 of 39 here is probably the one reason why this deals with roadside stands. And because it takes some time to get through this might be something that we want to take a little better shot at. Because the timing that this would require us to take it to a public hearing, which requires notice. And then at that public hearing, we can vote on it, and then it goes to the county for a month, and then it comes back and we send it to a board. So I know we were specifically asked to look at roadside stands. For us to get this done, to start selling stuff on roadside stands, we could lose the year on it for anybody who wants to do that, if that's important. And I see that was highlighted on here too, and I'm not quite sure. I know Denise did all this, so this was just a PDF. I think did I send this out to you guys this week, Friday? Yes. Okay. And we added several roadside stands to several different areas, I think, for zoning uses, sort of classifications.
Question she has.
No, it's not. Well, let's ask the question. You're right. Tells you how much I looked at it today. I was concentrating on this other pile. So can roadside stands be in the front yard, and what are the setbacks?
That's the point. Will be in the back.
I don't see any reason why they can't be anywhere in the front yard. And this doesn't apply to you because ag district, it doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
so
Another guy.
anywhere in the front yard.
I would think that would be the best option, yeah.
It's very
Trying to move this stuff.
Well, I guess it could be in the backyard if they wanted them, but put the sign in the front yard and see how much they have.
They, power companies, because they've been trimming that side of the tree for 50 years, so.
I saw you lost that big tree.
Yeah, that's it's 30 inches each side.
That had to be fun to even cut, wasn't it?
It would come from both sides. Hard one, it's good.
So it looks like we're allowing roadside stands in every district. Right. Anything else in here? Now that you said anything, we don't really do have to look at it. Yeah. Well, page 2, drainage. I know we did change that to 20 acres. That was requested. That was all right with that one. Everybody else is. Yeah. Well, the reason it was 20 is because if somebody has a 10-acre parcel, we get lucky enough to have somebody come in with industrial or some type of commercial. Then you can use all 10 acres. And if somebody comes in with a AI data center, then they have to. Right. So, I think definitions, everything else on page 3 is all from Denise. Page 4. Page 5. Emergency response plan. I see right now on paragraph 19, fire departments identified by Caledonia Township, subject to Humberley. Oh, that's Alcona County fire departments, probably. Yeah. That's fine.
What the owner of the system do you want to provide the emergency response plan? Each one of the first line says a copy of the all was approved from the staff.
Yeah, because this is under battery storage. How much should be prepared by the owner?
That's what I'm wondering, because we wouldn't approve something like that or come to
Yeah.
their team would do that, and I provided that everybody would provide it to themselves.
So just change that to prepared by. And approved by, all local fire departments. And the township. The township is, the way it's set up is the township supposed to hire a consultant to review that stuff. And frankly, I don't know, I mean, certainly my LP is a consultant, I think, in the township. Not here, Scott. So I don't even know that they would be qualified to do that either. But I think it still should be approved by the township. Or the county. Because the county has an emergency manager.
He mentions that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it really should say prepared by the system owner in conjunction with the townships. In conjunction with the county emergency manager.
Because I know that we have emergency response plan.
Oh no.
There's just ones that have to deal with this.
I know the county has an emergency response team.
Yeah.
That's the sheriff and EMS and all of the chiefs of emergency response, emergency man.
Rice?
Rice.
Scott Rice.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have her modify that. I'll explain it to her because she wouldn't know all the particulars, but.
So if you say conjunction, that means they have to work together with them to meet?
Yeah.
Or
Well,
just
they
in
would make-
compliance with or
So
something
they
like
would
that?
make it and then give it to them.
That
for
they
approval.
approve.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So we'll just
prepared
leave,
by owner and approved by?
and approved by the fire department, so, yeah, okay.
Right.
Agree with that. That keeps the burden on the applicant. I suspect they probably all have a meeting with yeah. Okay.
What was that?
Page 7 looks all right.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Page 10, I did talk to the fire chief and asked him about any access roads. And his biggest truck is around 64,000 pounds loaded with water. So that's it. Yeah. He said that they're looking at getting a bigger one at the base instead of the, so he would let us know if that changed. For access roads.
For emergency access.
Well, 13, and all the red is stuff that she gave us before. Page 14. So 14 deals with, I know there's a lot of discussion about noise coming from battery storage facilities, and so this is post-construction sound study. So typically what they do is they model it going into it before construction, and this requires post-construction. And then any required modifications to bring the site compliance with this ordinance. So basically they have to go back out and do whatever to help fix it. But it's too loud. Access roads. Wind turbines. We have to worry about that, but it's basically the same as the other one.
Yeah, I think it's just in.
Yeah. Page 20 really scares me from everything I hear, decommissioning.
Yeah.
But I don't know what we can do about it. Because everybody says that decommissioning solar and wind is fire, because there's never any money to do it.
Well,
Who advises the funds,
Yeah.
which might be important.
Mhm. Right.
For sure. What happens if they go bankrupt? Do they still have to
I thought
maintain
that this
this?
has, this is in the escrow.
Okay, so it stays if they leave.
That's the way.
It should, I mean, otherwise it's no good even having.
And I thought it was supposed to
It's 25% more than the estimated cost of removal. The challenge is always, I believe, is when you're building it now and they estimate the cost of removal is $100.
it's supposed to be
I believe every 5 years.
every 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Project.
I guess the concern is if it costs more than 125%.
This is what I always gas work on it. The company has paid the state some amount of money for decommissioning. That money's gone. The state's got
Yeah.
it. So that's not good. That's
So that would be what costs the state.
Right.
The money and get the stuff out.
Is that also written into the solar?
Well, I believe it is, and the other thing is, if you look back a few pages, one of the things that I added in here was, if you want to see, we want to see copies of the contracts and material costs for these, because what happens, and I can be found guilty of this, is when in my professional life, before I retired, I would do estimates for developers and make it as cheap as you can possibly make it, because the developers have to post money for it. And it's in here somewhere. So they post as little money as they can. Yeah, it's actually on page 7. Value of unit of equipment, number 27. And the communities finally started widening up and said, we want to see a copy of your contract, so that before you go to construction, communities mostly downstate require the developer to show off copies of your contracts so they know what that cost is. So it's putting some safety in here for us.
I'm pretty sure this was.
That's some good.
I think this wind stuff is.
Right, but this decommissioning here doesn't say anything about putting on account. Page 11, that's for the solar. It says they have to have a decommissioning plan and submit it, but it says nothing about an escrow account.
Yeah, that was,
It should be right here under performance guarantee.
Where would that be?
12. The applicant shall be required to post a performance guarantee pursuant to section 9.8 for reclamation determined by the township engineering consultant as a condition of the site plan approval. And then that also has the 5 years.
So it would
that's
be
a-
within that performance guarantee.
Yeah, it's an engineer, consultant, hired by the township.
right. And that's where the other paragraph that I mentioned, we have to show the consultant what it costs. So, and that's just to make sure that there's adequate money put up. So,
I would think that'd be one of the most important things to add, really.
yeah.
Otherwise, people are gonna skip out.
And I think somewhere here it says time frame too, like it's inoperative for a certain amount of time, then that's considered abandoned and it's.
Yeah, and nice and polished, really kind of appropriate.
But you live in Lark,
Yeah,
so everybody runs,
absolutely.
so, even the state. So, where was that at? I think early on, I remember Barbara.
And any wind turbine generator tower that is inoperable for a continuous period of 12 months shall be considered. And I think it's the same.
Yeah, because I think we added this stuff on our early version. It was all kind of combined together, and we split it out for solar and wind. basically there's the value. That was what was in the solar housing. Where's a copy? Sure she gets that. So I will have her copy page 5 with this page 24 also. It'll be the same. 5 is the same thing as the other one. Yeah, I was just looking at the green. Because we asked her to, because all that stuff was kind of combined together. We asked her to pull out part for solar and wind.
Number 19 should have the same wording as the other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Damn it, Kenny, you should have let him out that tree. Yeah, no kidding. I saved Jen. Yeah, there it goes.
Generator kicked on.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
Kidding. Yeah, sun phone gas.
Page 28. I don't remember adding or changing all this stuff. This might be just for copying this into this from the earlier. Page 28, I don't recall making all these changes. I think this must be just a copy. Where's the response on I or L? On page 6 at 6P, it's 3 years there. Yeah. Yeah, this is just a copy of this whole previous page. Pre and post sound, so that was all covered in another one. green, I'm going back to page 35. Now, that's the sound survey, that seems like a repetition.
Because it was really something else.
Yeah.
Very,
What was 26? Alright. Data centers. I was in Ohio last week, they built a humongous data center just south of Toledo. Just south of Toledo, real on 75, oh my gosh.
just to store data. What is it? I guess,
It's like a big computer.
Oh, okay.
It's the only way I know how to explain it. Right. Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, since- Oh,
38 and 39, I think, are the same thing also. These are for data centers.
okay.
Guess that's something, if we had something would come to us later on, we'd have to really look at it. Data centers are so new.
Yeah.
I don't know how we could be ahead of that stuff at this point. Right.
That's all right. Just say that.
That's what
Page 39, I think, 737, we gotta take out of here. I don't know why it keeps coming back. Well, the short-term rentals it's gonna be a completely separate ordinance. It's not gonna be part of the zoning ordinance. That's what my understanding is.
Have like, underground chairs and some chairs and stuff like that.
Shares?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's not like an MDR thing? Yeah. Well, I know that the short-term rentals, I know that they're wanting to keep that out. It's regulated differently if it's in the zoning ordinance versus if it's in the own ordinance. Like the township, we have a light ordinance. It's not here. It's the same thing. I don't think we have a noise ordinance, but it's a matter of how it's regulated, and it's more legal than anything. I think with these changes, what I would suggest is that maybe we take a little bit of a look at it over the next week. And in 2 weeks, I will send this over to Denise and have her change it, make the changes. And then have this ready for us to possibly move it forward at our May meeting. This May would have us setting a public hearing in June. And then if we approve, then it goes July to the county and August for roadside stands. That would make sense, doesn't it? August, September-ish. Everybody on board with that? All right, so we'll get this one up to our plate next month. All right. So we'll put that one back on the table. Right. Yeah.
We're gonna have to reprint the book.
All right, I'm gonna need some help sorting this out. Short-term rentals. I did some work over the last couple weeks. These are different times here. I want to clean these up first. Susie, do you want to slide up on that end?
Is this short-term rentals? I'm interested.
I know that's why you're here.
Okay, I'll pull up.
I went through, I was just kind of Googling different communities, and when we all had our homework several months ago, I had Torch Lake. And so when I was looking at this stuff again, as far as criteria for what we do, and just to summarize, at our last meeting, I think, if I'm not mistaken or I'm saying it correctly, we kind of moved to proceed with some type of application or approval of short-term rentals in some format. And so that's why I kind of started gathering information together like an application format. The intent is to not have them be overburdening our township, because somebody would have to regulate the bar rules we put into place. And it's kind of more of an informational thing, and I can get into that a little bit more. So what I did is I did a lot of Googling in different communities, and everything, of course, is kind of on the west side of the state. But I found this 2026 guide to Northern Michigan short-term rentals that I passed out. And this is just for informational purposes only, but it was kind of neat how it talks about all these different townships. And some of them are, they explain easy to get into, tough to get into. A couple of the things that I saw in here were watch out for septic systems. Some of them, a lot of them were regulating the maximum number of permits in communities. Some of them, I'm just looking at one here, I don't even know what township it was. Salon Township. No, Sutton's Bay, saturated. Very risky to do short-term rentals there. So, it's just, there was just a lot of different, it's just information for you guys. I think it, you know what, this might be, oh yeah, Realtor, by Realtor, they must have posted that, so. Somebody that's,
Some people are buying investment property, they would want to know.
yeah, for sure, yeah.
Federal judge awarded nearly $50 million to the Old Commission against the Wyomings in 2025 for unconstitutional zoning ordinances.
And they sued directly.
Yeah,
How much? Planning commission and they
Yeah.
won.
yeah,
I think I heard about that.
yeah.
They don't have to worry about this.
But anyway, so that was the one thing I just kind of made copies of that for everybody, just so you could see it. And then I went back and looked at a couple of the different communities. I'm going to pass. Let me find this East Bay.
Here's one that says commercial grandfather only. I still don't, would I grandfather because you're working on it?
If we say, if the ordinance says
Oh,
you
you have
are,
to say that. Okay.
I believe. And I'm not. This obviously has got to be done by the township attorney, but it's. I think that's kind of what it makes sense to me. I pulled together. All right. Let's see if I do this right. I want to hand out these. Keep these East Bay ones because they're the ones I thought was the best one for us to look at. Okay, the one thing that I liked about this East Bay one is it's kind of more informational. There's one form in here, applying for a short-term rental license. One of the things that I noticed, and you can pull it, it's got a checklist also on here, but on the applying for a short-term rental license, it talks about a sketch of a floor plan and a site plan. I mean, you can see the level of detail. It's kind of like what if somebody were to pull a building permit application, take photos of it. And I don't know that we need all of this, but the one thing that I did see in here was compliance with wastewater disposal. That's the septic thing that we talked about last month. Required notification to renters. Every one of these communities have almost like a posting that you have to post on the wall. In these, be nice to your neighbors. Time out at 10 p.m. or quiet time is 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. And this one's got separation in it on this third page. It's got permit fees. And this is one that I thought was, I like the format of this, not because of what's in it, but I like that it seems to be more educational than dictatorial. And then it's got a checklist, so if you want to apply for a short-term rental, there's a checklist. And then you get into the actual, and I passed this out, this East Bay, the actual ordinance. And this has a lot of, I think, what the township attorney would deal with. But a couple of things that I noted on here were bedrooms and sizes of bedrooms. And I'm not sure. A lot of these other communities, and you guys, I can pass these out, but I just don't want to confuse everybody. But almost every one of these, in some form or format, they said a bedroom has to be a minimum of 70 square feet. So 10 by 7 would be a bedroom. And I think what they're doing is they're saying for two things: go to your health department and have the health department tell you how big your septic system is and how many bedrooms you can have. And a bedroom is 70 square feet. So somebody can't start an Airbnb or a VRB or whatever they're called, short-term rental, and put somebody in a closet and call that a bedroom. And I think it was this one that said if the health department doesn't have anything, then you hire a Alcona Septic or Alpena Septic to come out and tell you their opinion of what the septic system is worth and value of people for bedrooms. So again, it's putting the onus on the owner to do it.
No, that's not a relationship.
You know, to me, it doesn't matter if somebody gets a septic guy to say you can fit 100 people in a house, then
You can't.
if it doesn't work, then it's their problem. My thought is that you try to do this to keep the township out of the liability business. So, and again on the ordinance, they talk about number of licenses. Number of licenses, I think every one of these communities, 30 to 40 licenses. Right now, my understanding, and I'm a little bit close to the real estate market around here, is you don't have to have it inspected, but the new health code, and that I don't know. I think you can have you can have a private home inspection, and that can include a septic inspection. But I don't know that the banks require that, unless it's like a VA. I know the VA does, FHA, the federal guarantees programs
I
do.
just wondered if they
I know when you do private home inspectors, they have the inspectors do them. So, to what degree, I'm not sure. But there's new health, the state they're pondering new health requirements for septic systems. It's going to make things a lot different in the state.
Waiting for it to go TOT, time transfer. You cannot sell unless you're septic, drain, and well.
All right.
Passive inspection.
Oh, really?
Yep, and tons of people are putting in new wells because they want to sell their home in Canada.
Yeah.
Is that here?
Pardon?
Where is that?
It's in Wayne, it's not around here, it's sort of like south and a little bit west, but I think so.
I think it's going to go there eventually.
Mhm.
There's pushback on it right now on the state level. And our Alcona County's pushing back on it.
Can't even sell it. The way they got around it is they came in and I'm sure they asked them. This is an old house, we have no information, so we can't make a determination, therefore we pass it. Basically what they said, which means.
Losing my train of thought here, trying to stay focused. Nope, that's all right. I'll go ahead and pass these out, just so I can confuse everybody a little bit more. Leland, trying to get to a point where I have an application in here. So here's a application, and I guess what I would like to do, does it have an East Bay application? Just have an actual application. So we can take any of these other ones, but it was not.
Well, here it is. It's the second page on that email I just sent out.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking for East Bay.
Oh,
Yeah, I probably just looked for it. I'm sure it's there. But we can take the Leland off. couple things that I saw, and I don't mind for next month drafting a kind of a preliminary application. I hate to call it that, because at some point we're gonna have to turn this over to the township's attorney to do this. But we can at least try to give our thoughts. But in doing that, and I was going to do that for tonight, but number one, I ran out of time, and number two, I wanted to get more input from everybody. But what specifically do we want to include in it? From the standpoint of how in depth do we want to get? And I know, Anthony, you got one opinion.
Yeah.
Blank pages.
I don't know who you're gonna, who are you gonna call? You don't wanna go call on the 4th of July, say, my neighbor's got 16 people at his house, can you go check that out? I don't wanna get that call on the 4th of July. Why are you gonna do it? That's gonna be your busy times, is the holidays. So you're gonna have to find somebody that wants to do this. The busiest times of the year when nobody else wants to work. So to me, we need to figure that out before we can say, I don't mind this. This doesn't seem bad. But to say, you can only have 4 cars in the parking lot, your driveway, you can only have whatever.
Especially since even if you do come up, how are we gonna enforce it?
Well, and I think that was.
You 8 need to leave.
Yeah.
And I think that was the discussion that we had last month, was that doing this is not the intention to try to regulate it to the point where you're trying to go out and bust people and police it. It's more of an educational thing. It could be, yeah.
I mean, there's some people, that's what they want.
Well, and what'll happen is we've had a couple people come in here, we don't have too many of these in the neighborhood, we're gonna be the first one to chew on the township, I agree. But I think that if for us to do it on more of an educational basis,
Well, that's,
or informational, I guess.
yeah, I agree with letting the neighbors know. Then all the main features, all the properties, letting your neighbors know. Having a contact person, so that like, if the neighbor does have a problem, that would be,
Right.
relate to the neighbors, so get the notification, I get that. So if they're having a problem at 2 in the morning, they can call this person and say, hey, your renters over here, unruly, you need to be here. But when it comes, it's gonna be hard to say right now, you can't have it. Because what about people?
Well, and there's a lot of these things I see grandfathered in there.
There's that, and then, so, say Kenny's parents got a place on Lake, and they pass away, and then Kenny's sister goes, we should keep that, or bring the kids up and go on the lake. They get their first tax bill, and they're like, this isn't good, well, maybe we should rent it out. No, you can't, because you didn't do it before 2026, when all these people do it. You can't, you'll have to sell. Even though you only want to do it a couple weekends a year, or whatever, to help your tax bill, you're gonna have to sell. That's it.
Right. That's a big argument.
Yeah,
And I agree with it.
so, and I've talked to people around the lake that said, that, there's people, there's somebody new there every week. And I've talked to people around the lake that said, I don't like my neighbor, I wish I had a neighbor every weekend. So, that's true too.
Well, and I'm one of the guys that said I had a new neighbor every weekend
Yeah, and
for a while, and I agree.
so
But
I get that, it's a pain, but out of how many weekends, people that you had there, how many were you like, I wish they were
0%.
there? So,
Yeah, I was a lucky one.
yeah, so,
The other thing
They
that,
get rated too, like if they're,
they do get
if
rated.
they're, or the NDO.
That was
I
the-
look at the ratings, I'm like, well, if there's no rating, I'll just say no.
That was,
booked that weekend.
right, that was one of the things I said, that
It's well said.
if you say we don't allow it at all, and then you find a way to say, well, I still want to rent this out, so I'm gonna do it and fly under the radar and not go through
Yes,
it.
do that.
And then you're not gonna have any information on people. Right. You're not gonna have any information on it.
If we know we can't enforce it, but we want to have a guideline, somebody who signs an application could agree, theoretically, I mean, they could sign saying, we will abide by these regulations. It's on them, there's no, because we
And then
can't
when
really
we don't,
make it
who gets
anyway.
the call?
Well, that's what I'm saying, you're not gonna be able to,
Well,
but
they
it
do,
may,
yeah, you can't, it's
it
not.
may make 6 people out of 7 say, all right, this is what I agreed to, I'm not gonna do it, rather than them not knowing what they should or shouldn't do. You know, you have to provide something. Not saying, this is a law you have to follow, but if you want the privilege of renting, these are what we want you to follow. They sign it, they lie, oh well. But if they sign it and don't lie, maybe they'll do something that they wouldn't have otherwise.
No matter what we do here, you're at the gym clerk, hates him.
Right.
He's gonna be
Well, we already know that.
Who do we tell him to call?
That's,
That's the thing.
Well,
and I don't know if the
You
township, can you say, we're just recommending this. You don't have to follow it, we're just recommending.
I wouldn't say that. I would just say you agreed to follow that in doing this application. But you and I both
I
know
guess-
you're not gonna get somebody to do it who doesn't do
I guess, I'd have a
Don't
hard
give
time
them-
wrapping my
it.
head
Don't
around
give
the
them an
fact
application next year.
that the township can say, go ahead and sign this, but there's no repercussion for not.
What would you like to do?
Well, there,
That's what I'm saying,
I-
there's nothing that's good.
I think that by not doing anything, it's a free-for-all.
That's right.
If you put some type, and I don't even like the word regulation, but if you put some type of guidelines or, I think it should be stronger than recommendation. But guidelines to say, you know what, here's some standards to use. You know, lights out or noise out at 11 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning so your neighbors can sleep. Because
Well, why are we even sending them to get a sewage evaluation if we're not gonna say, well, okay, you can have 20 people sleeping here, that's how many can sleep here. That's putting a rule on it, right? You still can't make them follow it, but at least they know, okay, legally I can have 6 people, legally I can have 10. I think a lot of people would follow it, just because they've agreed to. I'm not saying everybody will. But I don't think you can just let them just say, okay, you can rent this and that's it.
well, from the septic standpoint, which I think, you know, if we're just talking about the lake, the septic is probably one of the biggest things besides maybe noise. And we can't do anything about noise because we don't have a noise ordinance, so that doesn't matter, that's out the window. But the septic system, I think there's probably a lot of people that, in fact, I know of a couple that buy houses on the lake knowing that the values are gonna go up and they're not ready to move here, they're only coming here a couple times a year, so they'll buy it and rent it out. And do they really think about, you know what, I got 3 bedrooms, I can make another bedroom in the garage, I can park 2 campers in the front yard, I can get 20 people on this lot. And there's 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom, or 1 bathroom in it. And when everybody uses that bathroom, the septic gets overwhelmed. Well, that becomes an issue on the neighbors and on the lake. So by having it more of an informative thing, hey, you're gonna rent out your place. If you're gonna rent out your house, go to the health department and see how much your septic can handle. Then you know. And if you wanna upgrade your septic, then do it. But at least they know going into it that my septic system can only handle 2 bedrooms. And that's 4 people. So I shouldn't be piling in campers and piling in, because I got one right across the lake from me. There's a lot of people there every weekend.
Again, you still have the enforcement issue.
But it's not an enforcement thing. It's more of an educational thing. If they come in and they say, yep, I'm having 20 people, I don't care, because I can get $1,000 a night for my house. Then they do it, and if they have problems, then you know what? Here's the name right here, call this person. And the neighbors call them and start hassling them. And maybe the township attorney might be able to put some enforcement where the township can enforce it, or the health department enforces it. I don't know the answer to that. That's an attorney thing. But at least it's a guideline. And I'm making an argument both ways. Part of me is, I don't want any regulation. Part of me is, yeah, kind of. So, but I definitely don't want to be, I put one on Grand Haven in here, which is in Southwest Michigan. And you can regulate these things to death. And I certainly don't want to do that. But I think something simple to at least put some, call it standards. And if you look on I'm going to find them in here. Right here, if you go to Leelanau, this Leelanau packet, the first, second, third, the 4th page, where it says, please keep in mind, or this is a good neighbor posting. So this is something that if somebody did a short-term rental, they put this on a picture frame and hang it on the wall outside the door. At least it's posted there, lets them know.
How would you know if it's a rental versus a big family unit?
You don't. That's another discussion that we've had.
Okay.
I think that there ought to be 0 regulation on it. That's my opinion.
On the short-term rentals?
Yep.
Last month we voted on this, Ryan.
Well, we can sit here and argue about it for 4 more months, 5 more months, and we won't spend.
Like I say, I'm definitely not opposed to like this, where they have, 24-hour contact person, application. And this wouldn't be bad either, but to start actually regulating it, I think first, before we can do that, we need to say, this is how we're gonna do it. The same thing came up when the noise ordinance, there was a bunch of people wanted noise ordinance. And then the sheriff's department ended up coming in here and saying, we cannot enforce it. There's too many lakes. And if you get a noise ordinance on your lake, all the other lakes in the county are gonna want noise ordinance too. And we cannot enforce it. We don't have the equipment, we don't have the manpower. And so that went by the wayside, because what was the sense of putting it in there when you had no way to enforce it? Then it just makes your stuff look kind of flimsy anyway.
So what would our minimum be? Owners' numbers available to others?
Well, we'd have, like, right
If you go to
24
this East Bay Charter Township packet on page 6. This is why I didn't want to hand out a bunch of these. The East Bay Charter, the ordinance itself,
Right.
East Bay. If you go to page 6, short-term rental standards and regulations. This might actually kind of help us go through or think about things like, for instance, D, a local agent.
Yeah,
That's something that you're talking about. That's who do you call?
This was a designated local 24-hour contact.
Right.
The contact for the property or for the?
What these, there is a basically a form that I saw in a lot of these, let your neighbors know.
All right, that's what I was wondering if it was that.
Yeah,
I see what
yeah, one of the things is let your neighbors know. Yeah.
I see that some of them say like you have to renew a permit every year. It's a 365-day permit. So-
Some of them are 3-year permits.
Okay.
One of them in here, I think, was a 1-year permit.
Okay.
That's,
Who approves the permits? Like, you have a real problem.
well,
Do they get their permit approved for next year, I suppose?
yeah, and some of these, they have a 1-year permit and then they have penalties. If you violate these rules, it's a $500 fine, and the second one's a $1,000 fine, and then the third one's we revoke your permit. That's probably why they have durations on permits. So, again, a lot of that depends on how much we want to regulate it, and I don't think anybody here wants to regulate it that much. So if it's a 3-year permit,
Yeah.
you know, I see it, some of these, if you sell your house, the permit goes away.
Well, I could understand that, because you want all your information updated.
Right. So, and, you know, and so a 1 or 2 or 3-year permit, I can understand that. So, it's just a matter of what. But for instance, on here, like occupancy, again, occupancy, I think this one, it doesn't talk about septic. It does talk about septic in here. Yeah, it talks about, yeah, on page 7, wastewater disposal. Most of these require pumping out your septic every 3 years. And show proof of it as part of your permit. And maybe that's a reason for a 3-year permit. So, yeah, occupancy, two people per bedroom. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, and some of these talk about kids, minors are not included, so it's 2 people per bedroom plus minor. I mean, you regulate the hell out of it, so. Which again, I don't think that's what we want our intent. All of these have parking in them, just kind of sketched to show yourself how much you can park, and they don't want parking out in the streets.
It just gets bigger and bigger, special events, outdoor events, pets and dogs.
That's what these communities are doing,
Yeah.
so. I think from my perspective, if we're going to do this, I think the important ones, and I'm just looking at this one, is the local agent, parking, the septics, or for occupancy. Notice to neighbors. And yes. So in other words, Susie rents out her place. She has to send notice to the 2 neighbors on each side per se. And say, if you have a problem, you're calling me. The designated agent. And I think the other thing is, that I didn't mention would probably be separation between, and I only say that because that's probably the biggest complaint that I still get a call every 2 or 3 weeks on. Separate, how close they can be to each other. We have one area in our township that apparently has got 7 of them close to it in a row. So, this one
I
happened.
know like these eight companies are coming in and purchasing, or is this just different individual local people that own them? That can get, that one of the concerns was like, some the real estate agent from coming in and saying, oh, I think this is represented, I can start blocking all up. Designate one person as the local contact, hire a cleaning company.
I think, Susie, the Higgins Lake, the Torch Lake, they're probably more publicized than Cover Lake. And I think that's what you're seeing. I have a friend that has a short-term rental on Higgins Lake, Higgins Lake. And that's a business. He's buying another one. I personally don't see that happening here. Because number one, we're farther north, although we're farther north than Torch Lake, but we're not as popular, but I can tell you that we're getting more popular. Yeah. But we're getting popular over here. So, I mean, I look at I see the real estate activity here, and I see where everybody's coming from, and it's not local people buying on our lake.
People coming for
Right.
Where else are they buying?
Oh, yeah. Well, the short-term rentals go to anywhere. So you can do short-term rentals in an ag district or in forest out on the trail. And I think there is one or two out on the trail.
Camps over there.
So this is not just the lake, this is everywhere. Oh, it's focused around the lake for sure. Yeah, I think this whole thing is focused for 2 weeks a year. That's all. Maybe 3.
Yeah, we think of all the work that's number.
I guess just to back up a little bit, last month we decided to look into this and spent a little bit of time doing this. Are we sure we want to get into this?
I don't see any issue with that, with something like this. And then this, what they have. And I guess I don't know what everybody else thinks about the hard.
Yeah, in my opinion, the notice to the neighbors, maybe we can write these if we haven't. I think the bullet points are notice to the neighbors, the occupancy based on the septic system, parking, the local agent.
You just add proximity to others. Is that going to be with our bullets or not?
That's a question mark to us. I don't know that I think that if we do that, there's going to have to, obviously we have a non-conforming issue right now because we have several of them in the township that are closer. And this says 1,000 feet. This is one of the only ones that I saw that was that big. That's a long way. I would think a couple hundred feet or 300 feet if we decide that we want to get into that business. Right. So you can't have. Right, and that's where the issue
That's the
becomes.
same person that walked then they're still going to always be in this.
So the separation, I don't know that well, I'm not going to die in any of the hills out here one way or another. I can tell you, I'll give you an example though. If there's a separation, I would probably pull a permit for myself. And I'll never rent my place out, but I'll know that I won't have somebody on either side.
It's a strategy.
It's a strategy.
Yeah.
So we have some people that have come in here that they've got too many, so maybe a separation is not a bad thing. That's exactly right. So that's exactly right. But somebody I may consider that a $500 permit fee to make sure I have the same neighbor every weekend is, it's a contribution to the township to make sure I have, you know, my $1 million house doesn't have rentals on each side. So that's something, you know, that we're gonna get more and more of. This is about the water. Right? So does what's everybody's thought on these bullet points so far, shy of separation distance?
I guess who do we get, who are we gonna accept their septic inspected now? I don't see you getting help, just they're,
I think they're
oh, we
for the county.
Caledonia
That's what I was getting at, you can have to pay something, you know, do a real inspection.
going on being a septic. Somehow
Not
say,
in deeds. They're not deeded.
There's supposed to be records at the county health department. And over the years, the health department,
Staffing houses on the left, right, and we
they may not, and that's part of the reason why I think it's a good thing, because it's informative. So the house that was on my lot before I bought the lot didn't have a septic. It was
Do you know how big of a septic you put in?
yeah.
It's not big a house.
Yeah. Well, most of them are on record at the county, and they can say, you know, your drain field is 1,500 square feet, your tank is this big, that's for a 2-bedroom house.
Why don't we just have the owner document?
That's what
Who
we do.
cares who they get it from? You know, if they can find somebody, they can go just pull their records and prove they've cleaned it. That's true.
Gates cracked, you know, like they gotta have it inspected by someone outside of the houses.
What would that do?
We have two companies here that do it. Yeah, we're fortunate in this township. Yeah, Alcona and Alcona both.
I have a neighbor sitting on because everybody I talk to.
Well, you're supposed to pump it every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
As a rule of
Says
thumb.
that that's crazy, the whole application,
If everything is
in a perfect world.
Runs out of people.
yeah, it's just.
Yeah, that's all.
As long
You
as
use
it still
bleach
doesn't
again or
There's
there's a lot
It's in
of.
good form.
Again, I'm not here arguing one way or another. I'm kind of being.
no, I'm just trying to think, you know, I don't wanna ban them either. Just trying to think, we got our 2 guys that we've had here quite a bit here. Who we tell them who to call, their next battle. What we do here, what do we tell them to do, guys?
Well, that's a good argument for the case when I say that having this with local agent on it, because when I get that call every 3 weeks from one person, I can say, here's the form.
Who's gonna hold all this information? Physically. Like, is this gonna be up to us to keep a file, so when so-and-so comes in and says, well, they haven't had their septic tank done in 5 years, we can look this up and say, well, they provided us with this paperwork of this date. I mean, even that's gonna be an
Yeah.
issue.
If you read through this, this kind of dictates the process a little bit, or kind of explains the process. But basically, there's a checklist here. Proof of ownership you don't need, but if you go in here, the septic tank, for instance, you got to go to the health department, see if they have any information on it. It says you can have 2 bedrooms. Boom, done. It's on the sketch right here, or it's on the application, and
But where are we gonna put our application?
every one of these, the zoning administrator kind of administers it. Yeah, just like our zoning administrator right now administers land use permits, so this would be just another one that they would do. The fees pay for the zoning administrator to do that.
I guess a land use permit is, he goes out there, does that,
It's done.
and puts it in a file. He checks everything out once the project is done, make sure it's done or whatever, and then he forwards that to the assessor, and then a copy goes here, he's done it.
That's
But
right.
what
These are
she's
gonna be
saying
ongoing.
is, this is gonna be something that needs to be
You're gonna have to
accessible.
fact check it, you're gonna have to
Wow.
know where it's at. You're gonna have to be able to, somebody's gonna have to come to somebody and somebody's
It's not gonna be like, oh, you
Answer.
filed it.
Right,
Well, and this is where I think that this is where you punt the responsibility over to the landowner. If Susie applies and our zoning administrator checks it the first time and yep, looks good, he signs off on it, now Susie's responsible for it. Every year when she comes back, or every 3 years when she comes back,
She
the
has-
reapplication shows that she has to show proof that she has cleaned out the septic tank and she's good to go. And if there's any problems, then all of her information is with the neighbors. They have somebody that.
we're gonna have to keep some kind of a record that Susie is here, and then this guy can go here, this guy can go here, and next year, did Susie get another one? So can I now give it to him because he's requesting it? I mean, somebody's gotta coordinate a lot of information somehow.
Something like that, no regular budget based on being able to have a running.
Right.
Years, I think they.
So, you know, those things we didn't have to think about. But I mean, it isn't like, there's gonna be paperwork and a trail that somebody has to know
What you find
or find.
reasonably.
On quickly,
easily
yes.
smart animal.
No, I agree with everything everybody's saying. And I'm still not one way or another for it. Right.
So, to date, we've done nothing.
Correct.
What kinds of problems has it caused?
A lot more than
Yeah, because the thing is, you put rules on it, then they're gonna be, it's not like square.
It's gonna be
I think that all the church knows discuss that about it, because they don't want it to become an issue.
Somebody make a motion. Don't keep me from having to keep working on this.
As long as it's a the ordinance, not just put it together.
What it could be, is that
Well, in looking at all these different communities, you see a lot of common things in them. You see a lot of little variations. And the one thing that you don't see is the problems. You know, on a couple of these, I wish I could. No, I'm just thinking. I wish I could look in here and see like the fines that if you. That's not this one.
it's probably,
Some of these have fines if you screw up. There's all kinds of stuff that you can get into.
yeah,
Violation of township ordinances.
but
Again,
the
this,
thing is, once that happens, once they're violating the township ordinance, it's not the, contact agent that's gonna, should get the phone call. That's gonna be the zoning administrator, and then you run into, if that person's gone in 3 days, the zoning administrator was on vacation for 4th of July, and then he gets there a week later, and he's like, what's going on there? I don't know anymore.
oh, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, when I look at this, it is this one that we're in. If you guys go to page 10. Section 9, violations. Actually, it's even farther than that. I guess it is. Yeah, section 8, duty to remedy violations, section 9. So that's page 10, page 11. Subsequent violations, hearings, suspension. This is,
No, East Bay.
I'm in East Bay. I mean, obviously, this is I think we all agree that we don't want to go down to get ourselves into the position where you're having to deal with this stuff.
Well, part of it too is we don't want to open ourselves up to being sued.
So there's a lot of things in here that, this is a tough one. No way around it, it's a tough one. Anybody have a motion? Anybody want to consider direction on how we go about doing this if we're going to continue on?
I'm not against having a registration or an application with a permit fee. Similar to what this is. And this has a maximum number of people. I don't know if you want that in there.
Isn't that just an example?
I think a maximum number of people should be based on septic.
Septic.
I'm gonna wait for you to keep going. I got in trouble a couple years ago for keeping us late when Michigan football won the national championship. There was a game on in 20 minutes.
I don't watch football. Baseball.
I know.
It's basketball.
Basketball,
Freshman
or soccer.
Neither.
If I wanted to, I wouldn't get the channel, I can guarantee it. Just how it goes.
Do we agree that you'd have a local agent?
Yes.
Do we agree that they should understand their parking?
Yes.
1, 2?
Yep.
Okay. Do we agree that they should post something in,
I mean, it would be.
notice to neighbors?
A good idea. I feel like it would be a good idea for them to do
A notice to neighbors or a
that.
post
Yeah,
outside?
I don't know if they need to be like our recommendations, but we could put on there, you know, that we recommend they hang rules.
Do you tell your tenants when they come in?
What do I tell
Do you
them?
give them rules
Um,
or just say,
it's the one that
Apparently it's like the wild
I've
west.
never had a problem, and my neighbors don't even really know. My neighbor Lloyd knows, he knows me, that I have. I turn my dad's office into a rental, but it's never been a problem. I'm not a big rental, I'm one bedroom.
Yeah.
I get one person or a couple. I don't allow pets, I don't allow children, so,
so those are rules?
yeah, they're just quiet. They come and
The house is gonna have rules.
So,
I mean, they sit on the boathouse and read, and they have a campfire at night. That I think that's the type of rental I am. So, but I get these other ones I do.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to letting, two houses either way. I don't know if they want to do anything, but I don't think it'd be in opposition. In fact, I've got a barking dog 2 houses down that I wish wasn't there.
Right?
But.
It's not a problem until you tell them.
Yeah, we could do
What
all that.
would be the purpose of notifying the neighbor, just to give them a number?
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
So they call the person.
They're not calling him or 911 or.
Right. Yeah.
Is that really an issue?
Well, you also have other rules and laws that you have to comply by.
Which.
Drinking, the sheriff can come and go on anybody's property for alcoholism, I think. If you have a party. At least it was that way 40 years ago. Right, Susie?
Say that again?
I said the sheriff could come on your property when you were drinking 40 years ago, right? You were too good.
They should try 2 miles ago.
You can ask your dad.
So he was an angel.
No, he wasn't.
I pack them under my family's there. I have no loves, I have kids.
What about separation distance? Now I'm gonna make everybody fall on the sword.
You're really asking to enforce something, start getting violent.
The only time I can see you could enforce that is at the application level.
Yeah.
There's no. I don't know pros or cons about it. Like I said, I got 2 theories on it. The thing with separation distance, I think if you do that, like Susie said, that if Susie gets a permit the first time and she wants to come back and get a second permit 3 years later, then that person should be able to take precedent over any new permits. Or, her neighbors want to get one. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. If we.
Or does the neighbor get it second year of hers and it's just pending until hers expires?
It's actually, some of them I think do that in there.
So, like if, say you got yours and then you went 2 years and your neighbor got one,
Yeah.
and then once yours expires, theirs goes active.
Sometimes you can't.
Then yours is, so, I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, that would be a real
Most of the
obstacle for me.
townships
And the
I've
other,
looked into,
the fact that it was
First
way
come,
on
first
the
served.
First come, first served, yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because then that neighbor that wanted it could then get it. But.
I can't see that. I could see something where if Susie has her place, she has them, and then she sells her place, then the neighbor could be on a wait list to have one. That's the thing. But you might sell it knowing that it's sell it with the intent that it is a short-term rental.
oh, right.
so as far as
Somebody
everything
might,
you
yeah,
have
that could
on
affect
there,
definitely the sale of it.
the amount of people, the parking, the local agent, notice to neighbors,
Septic, maybe.
yeah, that had to do with.
Septic pumping, yeah.
That had to- None of that stops
Anyway,
somebody from having one.
but
But if you
distance
say
does.
a distance,
Right.
that's a hard no.
Yes.
And that
This
takes,
stops.
okay,
All this is
Your cab and
making you
you
do a
now
little
can.
bit of work, not saying no.
Yeah,
But
and I
if you
think
do-
this is more of this, in my opinion, is more of an educational thing. If
Well, a
Susie,
lot, some of that stuff to me would be like, if you had one of these you're renting out, you're gonna want your septic pump because you don't want somebody in there paying you however many hundreds of dollars a night and be like, your toilet overflowed. Your toilet backed up into the bathtub. You don't want people to go on to Airbnb and write that. So really that should be a common sense thing, but I understand there's not a lot of it. So,
yeah, exactly.
and you don't want people parked on the road all the time. I mean, you don't want somebody to cause an accident, especially if you're over there on the west side of the lake where there's curves. But none of that says no to me. Where if you said that one, that's a long ways, that's saying no. So I'm fine with that. But I'd really like to steer clear of anything that says, you know, hard no,
Or something you can't enforce.
or something you can't enforce. I mean, some of these,
Again, I think all of this is pretty much like a notice to the neighbors.
yeah, that
It's
to me is
it's the only enforcement on it is I don't issue your
courtesy
permit.
thing.
Yeah, but it is more of a courtesy. Mm-hmm.
So the number one rule is no short-term rentals unless you have a permit. We're not saying you're not gonna get a permit, but you
Well, it should,
have to
if
follow the
everybody,
steps
I
for
mean,
your permit.
that's not really, to me, that stuff isn't, that burdensome. To where anybody can do that fairly easily.
I think this allows the township to have an understanding of who's doing it.
Yeah.
I think Alcona has no clue of how many people are doing it.
No, that's the problem, because everybody's doing it underneath the radar, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody gets reported. You could get bad people, good people, but
Right.
it seems to be the other way, everybody's rated, and
Right, if
if the
you're,
person's terrible, more likely somebody's not gonna rent their $1 million house up to them, you know?
Mm-hmm. I agree. All of these I like.
yeah,
The
because
biggest,
I don't feel they're that burdensome. It helps the neighbors, I feel, and it notifies us of where they're at. And it's still possible for anybody to do.
Mhm. Let me just throw a couple other things out there. Yes or no's? RVs, campers. Not a lot.
We have rules like
We do, but not as short-term rentals. My answer to that is don't regulate it.
that. Yeah, I mean, really, how often is that?
I'm just looking at stuff that other people are putting on here. Outdoor events.
You have to be pretty specific.
Right.
Campfire. Well, campfire is an outdoor event.
Well, it's this, a lot of these, I noticed a lot of these said outdoor events for number of people over what can stay there at the occupant level. So they don't want, I think that's geared to not have a wedding on a piece of property. On 4th of July weekend.
Ours parking lot,
Yeah. So the question is, do you want to regulate that? And I think no. Pets. I don't think we want to regulate. I don't think we regulate that.
She's got a dog that barks constantly down the road. She wishes it was short.
Right. Listen,
Especially when I have to, when I'm open the windows and.
listen to this Chinese lanterns. You want to regulate that?
You know what you should do? Just get them a park collar. You know? One that just vibrates, be like, I promise it won't hurt your dog.
I actually played it on. It's really smells like, you know, but sometimes I think it's like, that's
Take it back. Yeah.
Parking on the roadway?
I think
So-
that-
Regulated or not regulated? Okay.
I think that would be.
But that would be part of the no park, or part of the parking, is no parking on the roads. Because that is something that the township.
Well, that's not parking on the road. That's the thing. When people want to park on the road, they're just going to park on the road. You can do it legally.
I'm just asking if we want to regulate it, that's all.
We're not going to get nothing out of it, so we absolutely won't on that.
Quiet time? I'm keeping you guys moving. I'm expecting no's on a lot of these.
That was all the neighbors like, all, right, they can work sometimes, be okay.
Yeah.
Susie's neighbors are calling, because their people are out there.
As long as I got the number, I'm here for stuff.
Trying to go faster, it's gonna be about. Cap on licenses. No cap. You guys all with that? I heard one no. Vote them down if you want. Don't be funny, I got no smiles at anybody. Fees?
Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah,
So application fee and reapplication.
Yeah, I think you're protected. Say if you did, I like the 3-year idea because then you can say.
Exactly. I like that too. Now we're getting somewhere. Susie, you missed out.
What?
Look at all the stuff that we're getting
I
done.
know. I've done it here, it's zero. Short-term rental is less than 30 days.
I believe it.
We'll have the.
So if I rent to
find
someone
out
with
what
more
it
than
is.
30 days, I don't
I
have
don't
to
know
do any of
what
this.
they charge on like, I don't know,
right,
like,
and there's no rules. And there's no rules.
And there's no rules.
I'm looking at going to Florida and doing a short term rental for a month next month.
That's a lot. They're here for a month and a day.
And I'm short-term.
those taxi places.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, go there and stay for free.
Where my
Oh, the rest of that.
Does he? It's a big one. Hey, I have to go after your lot.
So I just asked
Should
all
be
my
able-
family, when you come in, you know, stay. And I,
You don't just think you sure they want to look at your
I let them know it was on and then have full access to the water.
All right,
If they're deep in the one higher, you might have to change.
focus, focus. Are we good on this?
So are we gonna do some sort of format?
That's a good question. What do you guys think about a format like this thing? I really like this one because it's more informational, educational. And I don't mind spending the time to create this,
As long as you know how to code
as long as I'm not wasting my time doing it. You guys wrote it down.
it. That's the one I want.
What happens when you make things difficult? This is what we should know.
Mhm.
But I thought something basic like this. Location of property.
Which one are you looking at
This
there?
is legal.
It's gonna cost.
That's his big. Such big. Such big. Haven. Elon, what was in this picture?
I mean, that's just seems really good.
See, this is why I didn't want to pass all these out, because there's so much stuff. Something's big. Rapids. Caledonia Township. All right, come on. So something like this. Page 1, page 2. Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
and then there's, oh, this, and here should be way different, this is something.
Right.
Ours would be shortest.
Yeah.
Page maybe 2.
And we could even do like this good neighbor posting kind
Yeah,
of recommendation.
You could say we recommend, you know, this is a recommendation.
They have a routine, maintenance, they have a hotline, they have a firm that says they retain a firm to assist with compliance and monitoring. And they say that's the lousy.
Well, imagine
We
how
up
many
on
short-term rentals they have in order to make the rentals. You know, they have 20,000.
Given their tax, they can afford to do that.
They just pay people
number one, it says that we're doing something. I don't think it imposes on anybody. It's kind of the lipstick out there. Okay.
It don't matter, we can put all these together. See, like all the regulations. You know what I mean? So, we're doing something, we've got a list of.
Well, and I think
Nobody
that-
wants to wait for it, so.
Well, I think this, like I say, I think this list is more of an, I still want to call it an educational thing.
Well, I can say some of it would, you would think that you do some of that stuff anyway, but.
Can you go back and see what now? These you're on the technical. Items required.
Yeah, and I can put that list on.
Yeah.
I won't forget. The items that we had talked about are
Those
obviously,
are basically right here.
Mhm.
Site plan, parking, notify the neighbors, proof of the septic. List of the neighbors.
Notice to neighbors. Septic pumping,
They have that, that's probably, they probably give a list of their neighbors, and then the township probably sends out the notice, because they got a firm. So
Well, we're just gonna have the applicant notify the neighbors, right?
Yeah.
This will change, so
yeah.
basically touching on all these.
Now, the one thing that I did see, I think it was Elk Rapids, when I looked at it before, and I didn't look at it this time, but they actually put a list of all the short-term rentals on their website, and the managers.
that could be something.
That, we can look at that later, but
Right.
that's something, but it just puts people on notice that,
Because that's not, I don't think that'd be hard for, but.
one of the, we gotta see the problem. Yeah, I mean, the township board's gotta agree that we're gonna do this, number one. But number two, I think that puts the public on notice that if you wanna buy a house on the lake and you don't wanna get next to a short-term rental, there's a list of them on the website.
So at the time they pay for the permit, every 3 years they get a new permit, we require septic.
Yeah.
So when they first permit, are we gonna say we need to have your septic pumped within garden
Well, it's
days or
inspected,
something?
it's gotta be inspected.
Right, so that 3 years from now, but they need to know.
Yeah,
Because if somebody says, well, I just had it 2 months ago, they say, well, this is why you have to have it.
yeah.
So that 3 years, you'll get one more time, and 3 years, and,
Right.
okay. We need to know how to. This was 200, this was.
I think that's something we let the board decide.
Yeah, okay.
There's probably financial implications to that. So, I mean, we have all kinds of examples. So. All right. If everybody's all right with that, I will make an attempt to do this for next meeting. And there's gonna be a point where we're gonna hand this back off to the board. You guys.
Well, I assume that once you get that, take that to the board, this is what we come up with, going forward.
Right.
In terms of-
Yeah. And that's out of our hands. And if there's anything else, we bring it back to us.
Maybe once you see that, so it's,
All right. So I think we're done with that one for tonight. Anybody else have any comments? I only have one comment in commissioner comments tonight. Is Amen to our troops. Son of a gun. I glued to the TV today watching that press conference of what they did today. Pulling that guy out of Iran.
It's an amazing thing. It's amazing
Unbelievable.
what they did.
Oh, brother.
Lots of
You-
times I get things like this.
All right, I need, so one of you guys are gonna go to the Fry Township meeting? Okay. Okay, need a motion. All right. Everybody have a good night.
You too.
Anybody want any of this other stuff?
The staff or stuff?
You want some of the other ones?